The Ukrainians are using the new FPV ambush tactic of wait and shoot. This technique is used behind Russian lines to destroy vehicles on supply routes, which is likely used as a way to complicate logistics and carry out targeted attacks, writes Forbes. This tactic may be a response to the limited flight time of FPV drones, which typically operate for no more than 20 minutes and cannot wait for a target. However, it is also a step towards a new format of warfare. The method was described in a handbook on Russian tactics that appeared on Russian social media several months ago. Now we see it being used by Ukrainian forces. A video has emerged online showing a series of strikes on a small quad bike, likely one of the Chinese Desert Cross 1003s that Russian troops are increasingly using due to a shortage of military equipment. The FPV drone is in ambush position on the snow near the road, facing the traffic with the rotors off. The operator is watching a passing quad bike, and the FPV takes off and chases the target. It overtakes the quad bike and then turns around, attacking it head-on. A shot appears from a reconnaissance drone observing the strike. After the explosion, the ATV continues moving but slides into a forest belt. The video cuts to footage from the second FPV approaching the now damaged quad. The driver is not visible. The second drone attacks. The third FPV confirms that the quad bike is destroyed and on fire. The cameraman presumably goes looking for the driver by following tracks in the snow, although this pursuit is not shown. This video shows that all three FPVs were pre-positioned in ambush, and the operators felt it was justifiable to use 3 drones to attack a small target without passengers or cargo. The Desert Cross costs around $23,000 in Russia, while the FPV costs around $500 per unit. However, the key factor is not the price, but the availability of ammunition. The second video from the network shows 3 attacks on Russian trucks. In the first 2 cases, the FPV drones wait in tall grass. When a target appears, the rotors turn on, the screen shows the indicator armed and then bomb armed, which may indicate a 2-stage process of warhead activation. In the third case, the drone is positioned at the side of the road and flies up the road, searching for a target. This may indicate coordination with a reconnaissance drone that informed the operator about the truck's movement. In all 3 attacks, the FPV drones specifically target the rear of the cabin, likely to hit the driver, as the small FPV warhead is not capable of completely destroying the truck. The third video records the destruction of the Chief of Staff of the Storm Ossetia Battalion, Sergei Melnikov, in the Zaporizhia region. The GUR of Ukraine received information about Melnikov's route and schedule and prepared an ambush. In the video, an FPV drone flies past Melnikov's car, turns around and attacks head-on, similar to the attack on the ATV. The driver tries to leave the road. The car flips over. The drone repeats the attack. According to the main intelligence directorate, Melnikov and his driver were killed. The sit-and-wait tactic is interesting because it opens up new possibilities for the combat use of FPV drones. It is not known how exactly FPV drones are positioned in ambushes. Given their limited battery life, they could have arrived on their own or been delivered by special drones. Ukrainian Wild Hornets and other systems are already used to transport FPV drones and increase their range. Ukrainian forces have been actively using drones to plant anti-tank mines behind enemy lines. However, these mines are easy to defuse, while FPV drones can remain undetected and attack anyone trying to defuse them. The idea is an evolution of the Hell Hive concept pioneered by American company VRR. Pre-positioned boxes with FPV drones that are activated when needed. Such drones could be almost autonomous. They only need a reconnaissance drone operator to identify targets. In the future, drones from ambush can operate at much greater distances. Ukrainian Lurk have a range of over 1,600 kilometers and can, instead of explosives, scatter FPV drones near air bases, creating obstacles for the enemy. As the videos show, FPV drones are already being used for ambushes. The main question is what new possibilities they will open up in the future.
U.S. President Donald Trump held off Monday on his tariff threats against Mexico for 1 month of further negotiations after Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to send 10,000 members of her country's National Guard to the border to address drug trafficking. According to Associated Press, Trump's tariffs against Canada and China were still slated to go into effect Tuesday, but uncertainty remained about the durability of any deals and whether the tariffs were a harbinger of a broader trade war, as Trump has promised more import taxes to come. A senior Canadian official said Canada was not confident it could avoid the looming tariffs as Mexico did. That's because Canada feels as if the administration is shifting its requests of Canada more than it did for Mexico. The official spoke on condition of anonymity as they were not authorized to speak publicly. Asked Monday afternoon what Canada could offer in talks to prevent tariffs, Trump told reporters gathered in the Oval Office, "I don't know." The U.S. and Mexican leaders announced the pause after what Trump described on social media as a very friendly conversation, and he said he looked forward to the upcoming talks. Trump said the talks would be headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick and high-level representatives of Mexico. "I look forward to participating in those negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries," the president said.
And it's a pretty amazing sight.
Mr. President, Rick Grinnell had a big Friday trip as well.
On Canada, when you talk to Justin Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you at 3 p.m. when you talk again to also secure a pause, like you said, with Mexico?
I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals that are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him, and you maybe know or maybe not. We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting, and we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariffs?
Well, we can always, look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. Good talk in the morning, but I did ask him a couple of questions, like, banks aren't allowed to do business in Canada. Canada is very tough. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know. But Canada is very tough. They're very, very tough to do business with. I had a great talk with Mexico, and we had President Sheinbaum is a woman. I like her very much. We've had good relationships, but we have to stop fentanyl from coming in, whether I like somebody or not, and we have to stop the illegal aliens from coming in. I think we've lost 200,000 people on average a year for many years, much higher than the 100,000, could be even closer to 300,000. And they've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. They have a big incentive to do. Other than that, we've agreed to talk and consider various other things. We haven't agreed on tariffs yet, and maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Mr. President, you said you also want to impose tariffs on the EU. What kind of tariffs are you talking about?
The European has abused the United States for years, and they can't do that. And they want to make a deal. Let me tell you, in all cases, they all want to make deals. There's nobody that doesn't want to make deals. They've been abusers, and they want to make deals. So we'll see about that. But we'll have, I think, some very fair. All we want is a fair deal. And there's a word, reciprocal. I'd go right now, reciprocal tariffs on everybody, because many of the countries that you feel so horrible about, the way they're being treated by Trump, you say, oh, President Trump is so terrible to them. Well, they charge us tariffs. European Union has a VAT tax, which is through the roof, okay? It's a similar thing, probably over the next 24 hours.
On fentanyl in China, President Trump...
We don't want fentanyl coming into our country.